We're 2 months into the new year and already we have two new tech tree lines, one for Cold War and one for World War II. But we've already been told by a roadmap we've been given for their anniversary that in April we're getting another World War II tech tree already. But what's gonna be that World War II tech tree? Well, that's what I want to discuss in today's video. I want to speculate on what that tech tree could be. Obviously, the first thing to think about is what lines are we missing from PC, and what are the most likely ones that we could get next. And we're missing quite a handful. We have British wheeled mediums, Chinese rocket heavies, Japanese tank destroyers, the American heavy tank Yo line with the reserve track mechanic, and the Japanese heavies with the double aim mechanic. So out of those 5 lines, what was next in line after the double barrels came out? Well, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the Yo line. And the Yo line was a tank line that Blitz originally had and PC took and modified it. I know they added a tier 6 Pollock tank, and they got rid of the 2-shot autoloader that those things had on Blitz. And that's because of things like, well, the BZ-55 had that identity, so the Yo line was to be something else. But regardless of that, that seems the most likely to be next, but they have their own special mechanic to them. They allow you to reverse while tracked, called the reserve track mechanic. And because it has a mechanic, well, it might take longer. And it seems like it is, because according to Zoran on Reddit, who does recap the weekly stream on Fridays, he mentions this April World War II tech tree and clarifies, not Yo. I don't know if he got this from Wargaming themselves. I went and watched back the VOD and I couldn't find it myself. And I would like to have heard it from their mouth, but I'll take his word for it. If they said somewhere that it's not the Yo line, then what else could it be? Well, again, talking about mechanics take time, and it's not easy to just copy and paste PC's code to make the mechanics work in our game. So, what tank line doesn't have mechanics out of the ones we haven't had yet? Obviously, the Japanese heavy tanks are brand new on PC, and they have a double aim time mechanic, so not those. The Chinese rocket boosters are also fairly new, and they have a mechanic. So what about the British wheeled mediums? Well, although they don't have a mechanic, they do have wheels. And wheels apparently have not been totally fixed in our game. Even though we sort of fixed the current wheels in the game, making new ones seems to be a problem. And so I doubt we're going to get the British wheeled mediums. But if we did, that would be great, as they don't have a mechanic other than having wheels. So, the most likely one in my opinion would be the Japanese tank destroyers, as they're mechanic free. They're just regular tanks. And so with the Japanese tank destroyers having no mechanic, and being the most likely for it to be, that seems like it's going to be what it is. But that's presuming that we are getting a PC tank line. We could totally get something else. Back when Pain God was around, he mentioned a few unique lines. Just like how the Sturmtiger is an exclusive to console German World War II line, he mentioned another German exclusive World War II line, German wheelies. Now we just said about the wheels not being fully fixed, so if they can do German wheelies, well then they can do the British wheeled mediums. But if they've been working on these German wheelies for longer than the British wheeled mediums for obvious reasons, then it's pretty likely that these would come out first. There's a few German wheelies that they could add to World War II. The first one that comes to mind is obviously the one that is in Battlefield 5, the Puma. And I don't know where that would place in the tech tree, but I know there's more than just that German wheelie. Whether that would go all the way to tier 10, I don't know. It could be a branch off line. Like when they added the M103 and the M103A1 into Cold War, it was advertised as a new line, but it was just 3 tanks that branched off and led back into the Abrams line. And speaking of branching off, the other idea that we had when we made multi-turrets was the super heavy French line. This to me seems to be more likely than the German wheelies for obvious reasons, as multi-turrets don't have current issues like the wheels apparently do. And looking up French super heavies, I already have 3 that I can see being added. You have the FCM Char 2C, which also has a derp gun variant, the BIS, but that could just be one Tech 3 tank that has gun options. You then have the FCM F1, and you have the AMX Tractor C. So already I see 3 tanks that could be added into the game. Whether or not this line also goes up to tier 10 would be up to Wargaming to do more research to see a suitable tier 10 tank that they would love to add in. Otherwise, I see this thing really sort of bringing back the D2 tier 3 that we got rid of, making the 2C the tier 4, the FCM F1 the tier 5, and this AMX Tractor C the tier 6, and then leading back into the AMX M4 and continuing down that line towards the AMX M454. Ultimately, this wouldn't be as exciting as getting a new tier 10, but these are options we do have, and I just wanted to point those out so that we're not just looking at what PC has that we could bring to the table. And I had to remind you guys that we do have some exclusive World War II content that we could bring into the game and have already discussed in the past. It's obvious that whatever PC makes, we're going to get in the future, but how interested are you in World War II exclusive content for console? Do the 2 lines we discussed today seem interesting to you at all? Or would you rather us just give PC content? Personally, if it is true that the Yo line is not the next line, I'm hedging my bets on the Japanese tank destroyers, but I would also love to see that French super heavy branch added to the game. And if they somehow make it to tier 10, that would be fantastic. But let me know what you guys are looking forward to in April, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.